Good morning. This is Tim Singleton from Achievement Solutions, and I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to attend a webinar on two new modules that we're very excited to present to the Business One community. The first is our advanced pick ticket and allocations program, and the second is a redesigned data messenger. Today, what we're going to be doing is going through each module, not just from a high level, but we're going to try to get pretty in-depth in each module. So at the end of the session, you'll have a good idea of the functionality of both. Very briefly, for those of you who are not familiar with Achieve It, we are an SAP Gold partner. We've been a partner since 2005, focusing exclusively on SAP Business One. Obviously, we're involved with HANA and now with the SAP Cloud. Our Resolv solution is a distribution and warehousing application that we've developed specifically for Business One. It has been certified by SAP for SQL since 2009. For HANA since 2012. We have also begun the transition to Fiori. We started that process. We actually started in late 2014 with the first release in 2015. And our Fiori applications now are also available within the SAP Cloud. Prior to joining SAP, our organizations was a partner for a company called Software Solutions that got acquired by Infor, representing the fax and take stock products. So we did that since the late 80s. We have locations really throughout the world, New York, representatives in Spain, India, Brazil. We also have 35 partners of Resolv that are active, with more joining us by the week. So if you're an end user of Business One and you're interested in any of our products, please reach out to your partner. We also have partnerships with Honeywell, HP, and Zebra for the equipment and making recommendations for any equipment related to our WMS or mobile applications. So as mentioned, two modules we're focusing in on today, but we do have a suite of modules within Resolv. We have a 3PL integration, so if you're a distributor and you need to integrate to warehouses, third-party warehouses, or production facilities, we also have a collections program, a container management application, so if you're an import-exporter, you can track containers on the water. Without going through each module, they're all a comprehensive suite of applications. You could choose which modules you wish to license. So you can license one or two that meet your requirements, or you can license them all. The approach that we've taken, we are a top 10 warehouse management solutions provider. That was awarded to us by Logistics Tech Outlook magazine for 2018. And last year, we were awarded the SAP Business One Innovator of the Year for Business One as well for the work that we've done with the Resolv product. So let's take a high-level look first at the two modules. The Advanced Allocations program, this is a rules-based auto creation of SAP Pick Lists, any of the pick lists, so whether it be for transfers, for production, sales orders, and so forth. And what we do is we let the users create templates that can use SAP queries to further define, limit, create rules on the creation of those pick lists. We also have a scheduler, so it could run in the background, so automatically generate those pick lists without having to go into a pick pack manager type of rules program. We also have an advanced allocation rule. So again, using queries and other default options, users could define which specific locations they wish to have the items allocated from based off their own criteria. And with the release of our advanced allocations module, we are rolling in the features from our order reservations module, and that module will be basically discontinued or incorporated into the advanced allocations. And what that allows you to do is pre-allocate incoming inventory from purchase orders, transfers, containers to outbound demand, such as sales orders, production orders, and so forth. The second module, the Data Messenger, is a digital communication tool for Business One. This allows the creation of emails, text messages, transmission of FTP files, and printing, again, based off of different criteria. We're using the SAP queries to our advantage. We are a strong proponent of that feature. It will provide your organization and your partners the capability to deliver messages to your customers, vendors, and outside partners based off of specific criteria that you've created using SAP queries. With that, you have predefined templates once you've gone through the efforts of defining the rules for delivery. Again, the same scheduler that we utilize for allocations in other areas of the program can automatically generate these emails based off of a specific time frame. that you choose. And then there's some nice features on defining the delivery of messages based off of some criteria built from the data within the document. So as an example, if I want to send an email to a supervisor, if an invoice is over $50,000, that would be one of the criteria, and that may go to a supervisor at a customer versus under 50,000 may go to the AP clerk, things like that. Both of these modules are scheduled to be released in November 2018. You will need to be on Business One 9.3 version for HANA. We do not have plans to put these features in our SQL version, and it will be available for PL5 and above. One final note, since we do have a scheduler that runs on a Windows PC, at this point in time, it's not available for the B1 cloud, but any other partner-provided cloud solution that can incorporate a Windows PC to run these scheduled tasks would be sufficient. So first, I'm going to walk through the Data Messenger so you have an idea of what this module can do for your organization. The Data Messenger, when you first look to configure a message that you would like to send out to specific groups of people, you go into a master data screen that has 6 or 7 tabs that will be the definition of this template. You give it a name. You indicate that this message is going to be triggered based off of a query, or it could be based off of a transaction. I'll get into both of those in a moment. You also define, if it is a query, what schedule template it's associated to. So you may want to send emails to your vendors every day or at a specific time for overdue purchase orders that were scheduled to be received yesterday back. So that would one of the examples that a scheduler would be useful. You also then have the capability to define your alerts, which I'll talk about, consolidated messaging or separate individual messages, and your delivery method for this particular data message. So it could be email, FTP, print, SAP message, or SMS text. So this is the default for this template. The other option, as I mentioned, is that you have a triggering of a message based off of a transaction. So in this case, it's an order confirmation that I'd like to send to my customers once we hit the add on the order. Now we have a default query that will be used and available for all the documents. But if there's if you want to have variations of these emails that you like to send out to your customers, you can utilize your own query or an SAP query to define that when I do the order confirmation, let's say for the customers in Canada, we may have a certain template that we use. Or if it's in the US, it's a different template. So you could come up with different logic that makes sense and that fits the specific requirements of your company, even with a transactional add to further tweak whom you're going to be sending that message to based off of a query that you've set up inside of Business One. These messages can be delivered based off of the document, the transaction status. So if it's an add, if it's an update, a delete, whatever it might be, you can have different templates associated with the transaction status change. Next, on the recipients. So the recipients can use Business One tables and fields as part of the logic on whom you're going to be sending it to. So it could be someone from the business partner master or the contact or the salesperson, or a combination of all three could be the recipients of this message. And finally, what you're able to do as far as recipients is put in some advanced conditions. So if it's above a certain dollar amount, a specific field inside of Business One, it's going to go to one individual. If it's below a certain dollar amount, it's going to go to a different individual, and so forth. So those are some of the things that you could set up when you are trying to make the decision on how you want to create the template and whom you want to send it to. I've been discussing emails and messaging so far, but there's lots of different uses for this tool. The other use could be that you have the owner code within Business One. And it could be that 2 different workers are working in 2 different zones of the warehouse, and you're not using our wonderful WMS, but you're printing out pick tickets. And you may want to have, when a specific owner code is on the pick ticket, send it to one printer on one side of the warehouse. And if it's a different owner code, it's going to go to a different printer and print the pick ticket on a different printer. So those are some of the things that you can come up to kind of streamline your operations in all areas of the company. Now let's take a look at developing the email. So the email, the body of the message is a combination of SAP fields and whatever text you want to put in for this message. So you first build the body with the subject and the message. It could be in plain text or HTML. You have a preview button as well to show you what it will look like. You can then indicate for this template an attachment. So if I'm emailing someone an invoice, a statement, whatever it might be, it could be a predefined crystal report, an HTML report, or if somebody would like to have that information emailed to them in an Excel format so they can upload in their system, or XML, that would be another use for it. I know in distribution, a lot of times people want to send out their price list in Excel so other people, their customers, can import it into their system. So this would be a great tool to create a template. Once a month, send out the customer price list to specific customers in the format that they want, with the fields that have been selected in the layout, and then you can send out that attachment based off of that criteria. And then finally, during the setup, you have a system-wide setup for your email settings. But if you want to send it from a different email account, from a different server, per message, you could have your default email setting. So it could be one's coming from Gmail, one's coming from your Outlook, and so forth. And this way you're spreading out the deliveries, and it could also be useful for if you have different locations throughout the country or throughout the world, and everyone has their own email configurations. This provides you that capability. You also are allowed to use Outlook, send your priority, and providing the user within Business One that's using Data Messenger the capability to override the default message that we've set up in the system for this document. So if you do want to allow them to override it, put their own notes in there, they can do that. In addition to communicating via email and print, we provide the capability to automatically upload data to an FTP site or a secure FTP site. So this is where you would be configuring the options or the setup for the FTP site for which this information is going to be transmitted to. You would have your account detail, you set up file details, the layout structure, and then also your activity. So if you do want an activity to be associated with this FTP upload, you could do that, have the attachment included with the activity, and it would be automatically created once you do the FTP. You have that same option available when you're doing the email as well, the print on really all of them. Looking at printers, won't spend much time on it, but again, if you want to just have some default printing of documents, again, not all customers are the modern age and that they'll have email and FTP. So if you just want to have this utilized as a end of day printing of invoices, it's a good use for that. And then you have your SAP messaging and your SMS messaging, similar templates for each one where you define the body and then you create the activity. So those are the kind of the different options that you have for the configuration. Few last things related to the data messenger and the configuration is the scheduler. In here, this is where you will be configuring the scheduler template. So in this one, I want to run it every day. I want to run it at a specific time, start and end, if you want to just have it start, and then a specific date that you want to run it from and to. When you click on the messages in the schedule, you will see all of the data messages that have been associated to this scheduler. In addition to having the capability to automatically trigger messages upon the add, the delete, the change of a document, as well as based off the query and the scheduler, we've developed a screen to manually deliver messages. So if you just want to go in and select sales order confirmations, maybe specifically for a customer, a status, you have the options to select the data in the top section here, which will define the records that meet the match down below. So in this case, I want to send L'Oreal a copy of all of their sales orders for their order confirmation. In here, I could select and then just send the message. As I mentioned earlier, if you check the box to allow the user to override the message, they'll see a sub window pop open and they can override the message that's coming out of B1. A few other things that you have, you can override the email address. So if there's some default email addresses, which I'll discuss momentarily, override the phone or the printer. So if you just want to do it as a one-time, send it to somebody else, you could do that from here. To save time, to make this process a lot more efficient and clean, what we have is for all of the contact within a business partner, you can set up default delivery methods by business partner, by contact, by specific form. So within the business partner master with our software, you'll see the document delivery button. When you open up that button, you'll see the default configurations that you have for that contact and customer in this case, you have the option that you can say, create the activity, save the attachment. That's pretty much throughout the entire program. And then you have default. So if I don't make any changes here on the specific documents, you will always use this email address and that I email them all their documents. Is define a default RPT file, a crystal report file, that is being utilized when you are sending out these specific documents. So again, for companies that do international business, have multiple locations or other reasons to have different default quote forms for customers, this is a way you can accomplish that. So this is the Data Messenger. Again, we're looking to release this in November. So let's move on to the Advanced Allocations features. The Advanced Allocation module will be replacing the Order Reservation module, broadly expand on the functionality that's already in SAP within the Pick Pack Manager. As mentioned, this will also be available in November. It's a pick ticket generation tool based off the SAP queries and based off of triggers in the B1 transactions. With these different templates that you're able to create, you can create pick tickets, auto-create pick tickets. You can auto-assign items to bins or from bins. You can assign pick tickets to specific employees, the scheduler again, defining of splitting up pick tickets and release dates. So there's a lot of functionality in here that you could pre-set up and let the system just run as opposed to going back into something like the Pick Pack Manager and manually triggering. The user is first going to go into a WMS pick ticket rules setup. And in here you'll have individual rule names and lines. And much like the Data Messenger, and there is some overlapping technologies and a design approach that we've taken. So just like SAP with Business One and their design, we try to utilize a feature or technology multiple times within our system. So you first give the pick ticket rules a name. So this is the Amazon auto release. We're all trying to sell and fulfill orders from Amazon or for Amazon. So instead of going into the system all the time, we want to set up a template based off of a query, and the query details I'll get into in a moment, that is going to auto-release Amazon specific orders every 2 minutes. So the query is defining it, the picking rules are defined here, and the scheduler is defined here. That's the query-based pick ticket creation. The transactional will be on the sales order ad, but again, I have some further rules to say only release that's 100% fulfillment, that I can only fulfill 100% with the oldest orders first. Another example is the UPS orders. I have it set up that it's going to run to release all the orders by 3 o'clock for the pickup. So let's take a look at what you're able to do. First, the creation of the pick ticket. You can come in and, again, define whether it's going to be for a sales order or a reserve invoice for this template, a production order, or the transfer requests, or multiple ones. And then you're either writing a query here or you're using an existing SAP query that you may have developed using the wizard. And then from that, we are going to be generating the pick list. Next, you have different tabs, and when you look at the input actions, it's going to be the transactional demand. Could set up is release only if it's 100%, so that could be on the template, or just release the available quantity, not all of the quantity. So if it's only 3 of 5 that are available, we're going to release the 3 of 5, or we're going to be doing the 100%, so it's keep our fill rates higher. Next, you have your transactional demand documents and your supply documents. So as I'm allocating these items and I'm releasing them, I could set up a hierarchy. So I can specifically indicate that I want to release based off of items that already have or transactions that already have reservations associated with them. So they could be bin reservations based off of a delivery schedule, delivery date, doc number, business partner priority. So I may want to have it where it's a business partner priority is first, the most important customers are going to be released first. Then I'm going to be doing it based off of the delivery date at the row, and then maybe a different criteria. So you could have your hierarchy on how you want to have the pick tickets generated and released. You can also release it based off of a user-defined query that you've created, and again, put that into a hierarchy. So if there's additional rules that you want in, maybe customers that have longer delivery dates or time periods going to different countries and so forth, you may want to have their products released first. Next, we have the first step of allocating bins. So we may want to release and have this template set up where it's going to specific bins, aisles, shelves. This is obviously the structure that you're all used to inside of SAP bins. So you can indicate that we just want to release everything from the freezer. So this is one particular area that we're using some of the attributes inside of the bin locations to release orders based off of a specific attribute within inside of Business One. Next, you have the pick list generation parameters. So as I'm creating this template and pick tickets meet the criteria, again, similar to Business One in the Pick Pack Manager, you could indicate that you want to split the pick list by business partner, by document type, item group, item warehouse, and bins as well. So if you want to do some zone picking, you could do zone picking by picking a specific aisle, shelf, or level. It could also be a wave pick for items or group pick for business partners. So this, even though they're just simple check boxes, it gives you a lot of flexibility and power to release and create your pick list based off of these two different criteria. Looking at the automatic allocations for the bins, again, you have 6 or 7 options. So it could be the default settings that's in the warehouse master within Business One. We could allocate based off of bin location code order, so my picking is quite efficient. We also have the alternate sort, descending quantity, ascending quantity if it's a single bin, FIFO, LIFO, or again, the automatic allocation could be custom based off of a query that you're setting up to do these allocations. So hopefully you're kind of seeing the power and the flexibility that you have. Once these things are set up, they're automatically going to go into the warehouse based off of those criteria. Looking at the pick list details. So looking at the pick list, you can indicate based off of the dates, whether it be the system date or the row date on the transaction, the picking date that you want to have released for this pick list. You could also put a query against the pick date and put some extra logic in there for the creation of the pick list. You can also assign specific users for the pick list from the user master. You could also look at specific pickers that you may want to have and query a field or a specific default that you want to set up for assigning an individual to pick these orders. So again, it may be more valuable products in what some companies call a cage that you want to have a specific individual pick, or someone is more accustomed to working with certain products. Finally, looking at the releasing, much the way we had it for document delivery and the data messenger piece, you could manually release orders based off of those rules and those templates. So I can come into the system and select a rule or select a business partner, certain date ranges, document statuses, select the records that appear, and then process and release and create those pick lists manually instead of having some of the templates and rules behind the scenes. As mentioned, if you're using our order allocation system, if you're using the reservations, you'll receive the order allocations. The order reservations piece, again, in here, this is where users can allocate items from stock for customers or from incoming purchase orders to outbound sales orders, quotes, things like that. There's some different options and different ways you could do that from within Business One. It could be from the sales order, it could be from the purchase order. It could also be from this standalone screen. Okay, again, we're doing some further development and some testing in here, but it is worth sharing with you at a high level what we've developed here. You will see first, we are working already with PL6 for 9.3 for HANA. It's 64-bit. It is a lightweight add-on. And just to kind of show you some of those areas that I was mentioning to you, and I'm going to focus on the logistics piece of it for this part. So in here, as a user, within the pick rules, this is where you're going to define your new templates. So these are the ones we obviously just did the screenshots for. To walk you through one of them, let's say we have the open UPS orders that are going to ship the next day. That's going to be based off of a query. The query details are here. So to show you how those are set up, this will be indicating that I'm just using it for sales order or reserve orders. I can choose to use the existing queries here. So select some query that you want, and that query will populate below. Then you have your pick actions, and this is the screens that we spent a little more time on. So in here is the transactional demand, release if it's 100%, release available quantity, the transactional supply documents with your hierarchy, or you could use your queries, your bin allocation filters, your pick list generation parameters. So again, this is where we're doing the splits, and you could do your zone and your wave picks here where you define that. And then when you're looking at doing the bin allocations, the options here. And then for your pick list details, the pick date, the user. So again, assigning these and creating the pick list, I may want to have it with the user that has the least open pick lists. So the thought is that they're not working as hard. They have some availability to do these picks. So I could do that based off of the least open picks, the least open pick ticket with the rows or the quantities, or again, another query. Similar capability for the picker. And as I mentioned earlier, but didn't show, the remarks. So there's specific remarks that I want to have on this, please rush, very important customer, or take the notes from the pick pack on the pick pack remarks, or query a field of the remarks field from the sales order. So those are the setups that would be established here for the pick action. And then for the schedule, this is where we would be associating it to a specific schedule. If one doesn't exist, and we just say it's a first release of the day, it's going to occur. It's a reoccurring, it's a one-time, but we're going to have it as a reoccurring. It reoccurs every day, every single day, 6 a.m. Morning orders, we're going to start it today. We do keep a log file, and then we'll add it, and this one will be as easy as you want to do it there. Looking at the transactional, what you will see in here, you could have it for a specific originator, which documents are associated with. And again, even though we're doing it upon the add of the sales order, it could just be the automatic add, or you can apply specific rules and queries so that this is automatically released on just for Amazon orders or something else. That's essentially the main setup. Kind of showed you a little bit earlier, but this is where you can build the pick ticket rules based off of a query. Those could be generating and running in the background. And again, these are not creating our own pick tickets. These are still B1 pick tickets. So if you have someone using the pick back manager for creating some, and you have other people using ours at different times, it doesn't matter. They'll still create the same document, which is available in our WMS, which is using the bin. So there's no separation there. And then finally in here, two last screens. One is, this is the manual release. So if I want to look at the Amazon auto release, I probably don't have any records. And again, this is our development system, but you'll see in here all the records that make that criteria, and I could process, which would be releasing them. And then I have a history of everything that's been done. So if there is any issues going on, I can take a look at everything that has processed, not processed, errors, and so forth. If something doesn't work, I want to look more details, I can do that. All right, so if you do have additional questions, if you do want to get into this a little bit more, please reach out to us directly. If you are attending the Biz One conference down in Orlando in October, we're going to have a separate session on the pick module, the new allocations module. So please attend that. Feel free to visit our booth as well. And if you need more information on that Biz One conference, I would recommend, if you're an existing customer, it's a great event to go to. You see a lot of good products. You learn a lot about Business One. So it's definitely worth going to every other year or so. So if there's no further questions, we'll end it a little bit earlier, which is one of the first times. But if there's further questions, again, reach out to me. Be happy to answer any questions, and look forward to the opportunity of working directly with your organizations, your partners, so we can kind of bring this into your organization to improve your efficiencies. All right, everybody. So thank you very much for attending, and have a great day.